Hello everybody, welcome back to the newest instalment of the Talking Wolves podcast. Today we're going to be looking through the games that have happened so far in December, having a little bit of it's our final one before the new year. Talking about the Europa League, maybe some transfers, we've got some questions from you listeners as well. My name is Dave, alongside me today we've got Tom Rouse. Tom, how's it going?
Hello everybody, yes, great, thank you.
Good, Tom. We've got Matt Cooper. Matt, how's things?
Yeah, mate, good, you?
Yeah, very well, thank you. And making another return, Mr. Harry Mansell. Harry, how's it going?
Yes, thanks for having me back on, lads.
Yeah, our pleasure. I mean, the last podcast didn't really quite go to plan. Apologies. Well, it went to plan for us, but apologies if YouTube had some problems with the last podcast. So, apologies if you didn't get to watch/listen. But as I said, today we've got 5 games to run through. Got some questions as well. And I'm sure we'll have plenty to talk about. The last podcast, Wolves had just played against Sheffield United. The first game since then, though, was a game against West Ham at Molineux. A 2-0 victory for Wolves, a great win overall. Got a pretty decent record over the last couple of years against West Ham at Molineux. And it was goals from Den Donker and Mr. Patrick Cutrone as well. Matt, that was a pretty good performance as well, and as almost as routine as you can get it.
Yeah, I don't think West Ham were as bad as people made out. I think they played some good stuff. I think they put, from what I remember, they put Felipe Anderson just in front of Haller to try and kind of play off him. But to be fair, Cody did really, really well. He really, really is. Against him, he's a top player. He really, really is. He did really well. The whole back three did, to be fair, because that Haller he's a bit of a handful, but I didn't think he was as much as a handful as he could have been, and I think Cody muscled him out of a few challenges. But yeah, it was a really good performance from Wolves, from what I remember. But I still think going into that last 10 minutes before Cutrone scored, were a little bit squeaky bum, and we were dropping a little bit. So if it wasn't for was it Ogbonna who was playing?
He played really well.
On Traore, it was. It could have been a lot worse. He played out of his skin, to be fair to him. So, yeah, good win.
Yeah. And I agree with what you said about Felipe Anderson. I think he was their only bright spark, but I think in spells he almost tried too hard to make anything happen. I know there was a point where he was like the deepest player back in front of the defence just to try and get the ball and make something happen. Tom, Cutrone came on, finally got that goal. I know he scored earlier in the season at Molineux, but it was, I think... I've said it a couple of times. When he came on, I think everyone was like, "It'd be great if he could score a goal here."
And it was a proper goal as well.
Yeah,
and
what you expect from him, really, isn't it?
Yeah, there was a moment just before he scored where he did something wrong. He lost the ball or something, and Nuno absolutely bollocked him. And then when he scored, he just stared back at the bench, as in.
He's crying.
yeah. No, it was good to see how much obviously he wants to score for Wolves. And I think I can't remember if I've said it before on the podcast, but it took Den Donker a long time to settle in last year. I think we wouldn't have seen Cutrone as early as we have done had we not been in the Europa League. I think that's forced him to have to play more games than Nuno would have liked. But I think after Christmas, and I think maybe even next season when he's had a full pre-season under Nuno, I think we can start to see a really, really top player that everybody's spoken about, and people in Italy were going on about him, how good he was when I visited Turin earlier in the year, Matt.
You visited Turin?
No, wait a minute. Did Rice go to Turin?
Yeah. There's been plenty of people, Harry, talking about Patrick Cutrone and the amount of minutes he's getting. I'm sure we'll talk about it a little bit more later on, because there was some, a couple of fans that I saw on Twitter weren't too happy with the amount of minutes he got against Norwich yesterday as well. Do you think he could be playing more football? I know there's been a couple of games so far that over the last month where Nuno hasn't made any subs at all. You know, I know Jimenez is very influential, but at times yesterday he looked out of sorts. Do you think Cutrone does deserve more minutes at Wolves?
It's weird with Cutrone because I really like him. I think, like you found out from my Talking Wolves good team of the decade, wherever it was, I like hard workers, and he does work hard. He's passionate. He really wants to do well, but is he good enough? We're yet to find out. But like I think Tom just mentioned with the example with Traore, people like doubted him last year, and then he come on to be amazing. So can he do that? And yeah, like you say, Nuno, he rarely makes subs, does he? You know what I mean? And if he does, it's always really late. So whether he's going to get a fair crack of the whip, I don't know. But in the games in the Europa League, he started against Besiktas. That first half, he wasn't good enough. So when he gets his chance, he's got to take them. I mean, I'm thinking back to Man City when he had that one-on-one and he put it wide, scooped it wide. Man. So I think it's down to him to take his chance because, let's be honest, he's got to do something special to get the main man, Raul Jimenez, out of the team.
I think it's worked for him that these chances he's not missing haven't been like game critical. Like the City game we went on to win, the Besiktas game we won 4-0, we had a few good chances. He's not missing these chances where like, if he'd have scored that, would have won the game. So I think that's alleviated a bit of pressure off him.
He's still very young as well, and to be in that position against Manchester City, away from home as well, and him moving away from Milan where he's been his whole life is a big thing for him in his life as well. So it might take 6 months or so for him to settle down.
Yeah, agreed. Hopefully, we've seen it over the last year or so with Dendoncker, with Adama, like you guys have just said, and hopefully it'll come good in the end. And I think with the Europa League carrying on, with at times, which we will talk about later, the first half against Norwich, is there going to become a point where Nuno will switch systems again and possibly go back with 2 up front? Who knows? I played, by the way, 2 up front on Football Manager, and Cutrone scored 30 goals in a season. So,
wow.
Nuno, go on.
So
that Jota and Cutrone partnership is untested, by the way. I'm pretty sure it was mainly Jimenez and Cutrone, and it wasn't quite working out. But we'll move on to the game against Brighton. It was first week in a while where Wolves hadn't really had a Europa League sort of midweek clash. We had that game obviously against West Ham slightly earlier in the week. Against Brighton away from home. This was a weird game as well, Matt, wasn't it? I think we all expected when Jota got that first goal, here we go, this could be a nice little rout, and in the end we were made to fight for it, really.
Yeah, it was like a period of 2 minutes where it all kind of fell apart, wasn't it?
Yeah.
Jota could have had that trick, but he scored 2, so you can't really criticise him. But Brighton are a much improved team under Graham Potter, so it's not like they were a pushover and they're not bad at home. But I don't know, the way we've been playing and stuff, I kind of expected to go there and win, which might sound a bit big-headed, but I just did. And to kind of concede the goals that we did, I mean, Patricio was poor on Maupay's, but he's been very dependable all season. And then the other goal came down the right-hand side, didn't it?
Yeah.
Which fuels the Doc agenda, apparently. But the whole team performed bad, but Doc looked like he was pissed.
He was really bad.
Yeah, and he wasn't great against. He looks ill. On the count, he just looks like zapped of any energy, and everyone can say it's a Doc agenda, but he doesn't look fit. He doesn't look like the Doc we had last season. Maybe the injuries have affected him, but I know he didn't get the proper pre-season because he came in with injuries, didn't he? So he just doesn't look fit, and we're used to him bombing up and down the wing. But yeah, hopefully he can get back to how he was, because he was a great asset for large parts of last season. But yeah,
he's probably played more games than anybody else under Nuno, though, just because we have had no other right back in that time.
We had to play Bird, didn't we?
He was we'll come to him in a minute, but I love him. He's class.
Yeah. He's a good-looking lad, isn't he? That Bird.
He's got grey hair.
Oscar Burr Rasmussen.
Yeah, it was a strange game. Obviously, Jota scoring that early goal. That was a great move between Jimenez and Jota, by the way. And then he had that chance to make it 2-0. I think you'd probably put your house on him, wouldn't you, Tom?
No, not this season.
No. Not Jota, no.
No, last season when he was arrogant and confident, he would have buried it. It was exactly the same as like the United goal in the Cup, where he just took the shot early, but he's taking that one extra touch too often at the moment. And when he was through, I knew that he wouldn't score, unfortunately. But he did have he had a really strange game that week, because I remember you can't really slag him off because he scored 2 goals, but we'd have won that game if he'd have scored that third chance. One of those.
Harry, Brighton, I mean, Wolves are, as you know, this season, losses are few and far between. Do you think that's one of the things Wolves have probably improved on the most, actually started to grind out results against these lower teams, where this time last year we probably would be losing these sort of games?
Yeah, and also I think going into the Brighton game, personally myself, I thought we were going to win easily, so maybe we underestimated them a little bit. I mean, we went 1-0 up, we were cruising really, and obviously you mentioned Jota's one-on-one. that he probably should have scored. And then we have a mad 5 minutes, don't we? We could see 2 to go 2-1 down, but the second half was poor. But I think you've got to give a bit of credit to Brighton. I mean, you mentioned Graham Potter. Their passing, I was quite surprised. They just refused to go long, didn't they? And then the one time they did, Cody gets done. I can't remember. Is it Mapai?
Yeah.
You're not very good at the pronunciations, are you?
Yeah,
No, I'm not very good at
Nathan Bryn.
It's the Dazzling Dave School of Pronunciation.
Yeah, I mean, Cody's been getting high praise after being on Monday Night Football, but some of his defending 1-on-1, and we'll get to Norwich in a minute. Pookie giving the run around as well. So
Who, sorry?
Pookie, you know.
Pookie. And Patricio was probably at fault for that first goal. But yeah, like I say, I think Brighton play some good stuff, and in hindsight, it's probably a good away draw, but it would have been nice to get the win there.
For me, like being an ex-goalkeeper, I don't know if I mentioned it, but with the one that comes over, the one that Patricio should have done better for Mopé's goal, Cody's got to kind of marsh him a bit better, and I think he's trying to force him a little bit wide because he's banged down the middle of the goal. But Patricio there, long balls come over the top. You've got to be on your toes. You got to set yourself. You've got to expect the shot. If not,
I don't know. I think it's a very, very good goal. I think you're not giving Mopé enough credit.
He got his hand to it, Tom. He's got to save that.
He's got to save it.
It was a good hit, and
he might be a good
hit,
mate, but he's got to expect it. He's got to expect Mopé to pull the trigger there. He has to. He's right in the middle of the goal.
I blame Cody more in that situation. Cody was so weak and he just ran alongside him. He didn't even try and put a challenge.
Patricio's only saying he shouldn't have saved it because Cody should have saved it. He should have got back on the line.
If I had to blame someone, it would be Patricio. But we'll talk about those two again at this Spurs game. At times, those two are like the Chuckle brothers, aren't they? Like,
they really, really are.
They are, mate. Aren't they? They really are. But yeah, we'll talk about that more after the Spurs game. Moving on now, Wolves 4, Besiktas 0. Nice way to end the Europa League group stage campaign. Unfortunately, Wolves obviously not topping the group with Braga beating Slovan Bratislava. Matt, we went to the game. I mean, you were in the corporate for most of it in the end. But no, it was shocking first half, wasn't it, in that game?
It wasn't great. If that game was happening at the bottom of the garden, I'd shut the curtains. It was one of them. It was dreadful, but that's why I went and sat in the bar for most of it. Just watched it on the screen. But obviously having my leg operated on as well, it was a bit cold, so I thought I'd go and get in the warm. But first half failed to kind of flatter, but second half was brilliant. It was a right entertaining game.
Yeah. I mean, the first half, though, you had Neto and Cutrone. They had spells, didn't they? And Vinagre was getting involved as well. What did you think? That it was almost. Did we play 2 up front in the first half, or was it 3 up top?
It was a 2.
I think it was.
Because then Donker went in the middle with Neves and Martina, didn't they?
Oh yeah, that was it. So yeah, what did you make of that Neto Cutrone? I mean, we've seen it a couple of times. Do you rate because Neto was drifting a little bit more wide, but Cutrone was still making some good runs. But I mean, Besiktas were all over the place, weren't they?
I rate Neto. I like him a lot. I think he's the most exciting player in the whole squad next to Vinagre in terms of where he's going to be in 5 years. That game.
Big statement that.
It's not. As I say every week.
He's grown on me a lot. He's grown on me a lot because I didn't really. Didn't rate him, but like he looked very raw. Like he looked like he had something there, but he wasn't quite ready to play at this sort of level. But the last few weeks he's been Besiktas, and even
Norwich.
when he came on against Norwich yesterday, he looked, he made a difference, didn't he?
Yeah, I think he's class. But yeah, the Besiktas game, it just emphasised the change in system and how important it's been to play 3-4-3, and that's what our upturn in form has been because of that. And it was evident in that, first half that we don't have any or as many ideas going forward when we play with 5 in midfield. But as soon as we move to 4 and we have the extra man up front, we just looked incredible. I mean, Jota scored with his first touch, and then that's when Jota is at his best as well, as when he's just tapping in goals or when he's poaching. I think if you added the distance up from all the 3 goals, he was probably on the 6-yard line.
Yeah.
That's when he's at his best at the moment, and we need to sort of play to that advantage a little bit more so than we are.
I was really impressed with Dendoncker. He turned into like a prime Steven Gerrard for that game. He was superb. He was releasing the Kraken, which was the Jota goal. He was brilliant, and I've been fairly critical of him at the start of the season when he was playing in the midfield, because he doesn't really offer that much. When we were talking about who do you want to replace in Jan, he hasn't offered that much. Since he slotted at centre half, he's been really good. But against Besiktas, albeit not a great side, he was probably our best player if you don't take into account the hat trick from Jota.
Yeah, and Harry, we saw a number of young players come. Obviously, Oscar Burr playing, who we alluded to earlier. Owen Otasowie came off the bench. Taylor Perry as well. What do you make? Someone else asked me about this yesterday about the academy players. Why? We were talking about Nuno not making subs. Someone said it was a message to the board, and someone else said about the academy players. And do you think these lads are ready for regular Premier League football, Europa League football, or is it almost, just filling the gaps at the moment?
Well, the likes of Oscar Burr, probably not, because, his last appearance was against Hull, wasn't it, when he scored? But yeah. I was quite shocked with how he played. I thought he did really well. I know it was against a Besiktas team. I think they had two 18-year-old debutants playing, so they weren't going to pull up any trees. But, yeah, I think Nuno's obviously got no choice. We've got a small squad. He's got to use some of the under-23s. I can't pronounce his name, but the other one you mentioned, Arsenal want him, don't they? Apparently. I didn't even want to attempt pronouncing his name. So yeah, but fair play to Nuno for throwing him in. I think we've got Man United, haven't we, coming up? I think it'll be a similar team to Besiktas in that game. So do you think Nuno trusts them and they do the job?
I think he'll go full strength for that game.
Yeah, I
really?
so.
Yeah.
I don't think he'll rest anyone for that game.
No.
Depends. He might have four new players for the door then.
I wouldn't be surprised to see players come in the 1st or 2nd of Jan. Have signings ready now as well. So, Oscar Bird, Tom, I know you're a big fan, like you said. That first half he did look a little bit shy, didn't he? But he almost came to his own in the second half. Had a little bit more room. Had that protection on the right hand side of Neto coming on as well. Well, Neto moving over to the right hand side.
It was very much like his appearance against Hull, where we just needed somebody who knew that position, and he just proved again that if Doherty is injured for a long time or if he's suspended, I think the natural thing would be to put Johnny there and put Vinagre on the left. But to have him as cover for that, I think I feel pretty confident with him because of how he can create going forward. He didn't get beaten. I know it was a poor Besiktas team, but still he didn't get beaten. And I'm really impressed to see as well the coaching that's obviously going on at the club, because that's clear progress that we've seen in 2 years from him against Hull to now, and I'm really pleased with the structure of the academy and everything like that.
How old is Oscar Bird? 21.
Pass. 20 or 21.
Because it's not like he's a young kid. He's been at the club exactly, and he's not broke through. I'm wondering how long he's got left on his contract. It must be up at the end of the season or the season after.
And in that whole game, I know he scored, but I thought he looked really poor. I remember, thinking back, he looked really out of place, like a rabbit in the
It was a very distinctive game, to be fair. I remember it. Every blade he covered. No, I don't think
he was like a hot potato. Every time he got the ball, he was just trying to get rid of it as quick as he could so he didn't make a mistake. But
Ella Kobe was like that, and I got pounded for putting him in my worst team in a decade. So.
You type in Oscar Burr, by the way, the first thing that comes up is a Wolves 2 Hull 2 fan reaction by Talking Wolves.
So our SEO doing bits there.
Yeah, SEO FC. I still when I was watching him though, he just looks awkward when he's on the ball. He doesn't look like he's comfortable whenever he's on the ball. I don't know what it was in the first half, especially. I thought, gee, we are going to get done on that side there. But he's balling for Jota. He got the assist, didn't he?
Jota. He won it back really well as well.
It was a cracking ball in that was. And Otasowie as well, he hit the bar and he was an absolute unit in the middle as well.
He's not a midfielder, is he? He's a defender, isn't he, by trade?
No, he was a midfielder by trade, but he's been playing defence for the under-23s. So we saw him at PSG when they played at Molineux and he was pretty good. And then... apparently, I don't know if he was after a new contract, but all the big elite clubs were after him, so PSGs, Arsenals and so on. And then he dropped a 0 out of 10 performance last week for the under-23s when the scouts are all meant to be there. So
brilliant.
He knows what he's doing.
Solid performance. But yeah, he does look like a unit, and if he's a player that you can start, playing as a sort of ball-winning midfielder, I think he was definitely an option there for Wolves and did well. And overall, a good win. We will. I mean, whilst we're on the topic of Europa League, Wolves obviously got drawn against Espanyol. Thoughts on that draw, Tom?
If you're going to put them in, if you're going to rank the teams in that draw, they would definitely be in the would like to play section, and they'd probably be towards the top of that section because they are absolutely dreadful, which means that they'll definitely beat us over 2 legs.
Harry?
Yeah, I think it's win-win-win. I mean, great location, great stadium, and a winnable team. Like, we can beat them. Are they bottom of La Liga? They're struggling, I know that.
They've won 2 games all season.
Yeah, I mean, I think the only negative's been
announced
flight
loss
prices and the hotel prices, but apart from that, it's going to be a great tie.
Oh, you got to be quick on that. Me and Matt, we got it all sorted, didn't we? So.
Did you hear about that chap who booked all of the possible destinations for the last 32?
Just to cancel them.
And then he cancelled them all. Fair play.
Yeah, for free cancellation, it's very proactive, but I just don't think I've got enough hours in the day to do that. So
are we going to compare prices? What did you get?
I mean, we can do if people are interested. So we had £45 flights in the basket, got to the end, and they wanted £300 for them. So £127 return each for David and I from Birmingham. One stop in Paris to Barcelona on a Thursday, and then direct
very
back.
Romantic.
Yeah, we only got an hour there, so we'll have to be quick. But Dave usually is
about £90. So in total we paid about £210.
Similar to me, mate. Yeah, mine 125 via Dublin, one stop. Go Tuesday, come back Friday, and our Airbnb, 6 of us in there, £92 each.
That's all right. Our hotel was £80 for 2 nights. But it's a nice 4-star by Sagrada da Familia, which is the cathedral, which I recommend going to see. If you've never been to Barcelona, it's a beautiful city.
Right, Tom, is it half term or not?
No, if we'd have won the group.
When Braga went 3-2 up, I bet you were throwing things around your room, ain't you?
I had the score pinned on it, and I was checking it more than I was checking the other Wolves game.
So you're not going to?
That was good.
Wounded.
The Turin dream lives on.
Quarter final, I'll be there.
Yeah, you'll have to hold on to the Turin one, mate.
Yeah, that's it.
Did you go?
Yeah. It's class. It's class. There's a video about it on our channel. Check it out. It's got about 300 views.
Yeah, that's a lot for you, isn't it?
Yeah.
I'll write a poem about it.
What has happened to your channel, Tom? What has happened?
Rip the old gold and black.
I know.
We'll get back to Premier League action now. This was quite fresh in the memories of the final game at Molineux before Christmas. Wolves hosting Spurs. Obviously, Jose Mourinho's Tottenham side. It was a game where I'd assume all of us probably would have taken a point out of beforehand. And I think we're all still kicking ourselves that Wolves somehow didn't manage to get anything out of the game. Matt, how dominant was that Wolves performance against Tottenham last week?
I think that was... we say this every week. I think that was probably the best performance I've seen under Wolves in terms of completely nullifying a team. You know, when we play, like, when we beat Man City, you know, we caught them on the break, so the pressure brings Spurs. We dominated in every position. We won all of our individual battles, and we played them off the park, and they were very tactical in mastering the dark arts, which is something I feel we lack a little bit of a little bit of intelligence with that, maybe a little bit naive, but it was sickening to lose to play that well, and to never more lose, never more draw the game. Oh God, it was horrible, but I just had a feeling it was coming.
Yeah,
Spurs were really poor. They couldn't handle Adama Traore, which is no one's been able to stop him yet this season. It was such a good performance, but again, these things happen in football, and we'll play rubbish like we did against Norwich and come away with 3 points. Yeah. So it swings and roundabouts, isn't it?
Tom, I know Matt said, you know, how good we were there. Were Wolves actually that good, or were Tottenham just poor?
We were very, very good in 2/3 of the pitch, but the final third, I think it was that Wolves Analytics put up on Twitter after the game that we didn't have a single shot within the inside the 18-yard box within the width of the posts. Which, if you don't get many chances like that, you're not going to win a game. And then we switched off for 2 moments in the game, and against a top team like Tottenham, they're only going to need 2 chances and they're going to put them away.
Exactly.
We controlled possession and we looked really, really good, and it was a really enjoyable game. As the second half was going on, I just didn't want the game to end because it was so entertaining and exciting. It was just sickening to be on the end of a last-minute winner when so often under Nuno we're on the receiving end of those moments.
Yeah, agreed. And it was one of those things. I think in hindsight, both goals were avoidable. The first goal came from a poor corner kick, which I'm sure we'll talk about. Our own poor corner kick came down the other end. Then a poor Patricio kick, which led to them scoring, which was Cody and Patricio Chuckle Brothers moment. And then obviously their goal in the end to win the game. Traoré. Well, if we kicked the ball out earlier, they wouldn't have got the free kick, which led to the corner, which they scored.
He should have
from.
come
Just
off
little
as well.
things like that. Yeah, it's just.
Do you think Patricio should have done better on the first?
Definitely.
Yeah.
It had some serious power,
It was
but
a rocket, though, wasn't it?
you'd be disappointed to be beaten.
I heard Rose thought it was Cody's fault.
I haven't said a word against Cody today.
Nibble.
You know what? We would if we played 4 at the back, we would have kept a clean sheet that game.
I reckon Patricio nodded one in. And Moutinho on the second, he for the Vertonghen's head, he kind of just turns his back on him. Like,
He didn't know he was there.
What are you doing there? Who's marking it?
3 of them all surrounding him.
Traoré should have been marking him.
Yeah, I think
it's just so annoying because Traoré give Vertonghen the runaround the whole game, and then it turns out Vertonghen gets the winner. It was just horrible.
But if you've got
how we lost that game.
How do
Vertonghen shouldn't have been on the pitch.
Someone 6 foot bastard 3 stand unmarked on a corner. It's madness.
He runs from so far out though.
But Tom, they're going to know he's an aerial threat. He's a centre half.
I know that. But if you watch the video again, Traoré's watching the ball come in where he's got 2 men.
On Match of the Day, they blamed Adama as well.
Yeah, he should have come off really after because he runs back from having his shoulder put back in to that point and
literally follows Vertonghen onto the pitch because Vertonghen was taking instructions from Mourinho as well.
His shoulder literally popped out. Why they didn't take him off, I don't know.
I know. Just Neto Neto was ready to come on, should have come on. But it was a good header as well. You've got to give them a bit of credit. It was frustrating that he gets in that position, but from that far out, a bullet header right into the corner. It was good.
I don't think it was a bullet header, but
it was well placed.
If there wasn't a crowd, there was like a crowd of players in front of Patricio, so he wouldn't have seen it as well. If there wasn't those players, he possibly.
They're avoidable
typical
goals.
Mourinho, though, isn't it, man? Mourinho, he loves that. Then he's a shit house with his tactics, and he defends well. I mean, they were settling for the 1-1 draw, in my opinion. And then Dendoncker,
oh mate, he was
silly,
ecstatic, wasn't he?
Yeah, he went mad. Dendoncker, that foul, I think it was Kane he fouled, and they had that free kick, which resulted in the corner. It was just so frustrating. And like you say, their celebrations, they knew they'd got away with one. We absolutely battered them.
Yeah, agreed. And I kept thinking of the clip of Neil Warnock going mad at Phil Jagielka and Chris Morgan for not marking the man in the last minute.
Go
hard work
in
for throwing away the fucking set piece. Yeah,
I'll take the fucking blame.
Lescott on the other big fucker.
Which one was fucking 2 of them?
Olafin Jara. Right. We'll move on to the most recent game anyway against Norwich City. Wolves back to winning ways just about, and it was a bit of a contrast to the performance against Spurs. We played well against Spurs and didn't manage to get anything out of the game. We played pretty poor against Norwich, Tom, and we managed to get 3 points in the end.
Yeah, I said at half time though I thought the Wolves were going to win it because it was just how football works and because of how Norwich have been playing all season. I think it was against Sheffield United recently at home for them. They took the lead but then threw it away and ended up losing because they just haven't got the mentality or the skill to be able to keep the performance like that going for a whole game. They were incredible for the first 20 minutes. I thought we were going to get absolutely battered. Pukki looked like a world beater. And maybe somebody that we should be thinking about come the summer. Maybe. I mean, considering how many goals he scored in such a poor team, imagine the service that he would get with Wolves. I think he would.
Yeah, but Tom, he's in the mould of Jamie Vardy. How many sitters did he miss? How many sitters did he miss yesterday?
Yeah,
his movement, superb. His finishing, absolutely dreadful.
I know.
He couldn't finish his dinner.
He couldn't finish a 4-piece jigsaw Saturday, mate.
He wouldn't need to. He wouldn't need to though. He'd just be standing in front of goal while Traoré just rolled it to him.
Tom,
he
I'm
gave
gonna
3
do,
centre-halves to run around.
Tom, I'm going to do your Cody bashing for you. I thought Cody was awful first half. Pookie. If I pronounced that right, yeah?
No,
Pookie.
you haven't.
It's Pookie. Taimu Pookie.
Pookie, give Cody the run
Timu,
around.
not Timu.
Cody looked like a
Timu.
Sunday
Timu,
League
Pookie.
defender at times. I mean, I do like Cody. He's a great chatter. He does ping a few balls
really,
to the
really
right
does.
and the left back every now and then. But
He does this
his one-on-one
really well when we're
defending
losing.
is absolutely dire at times. That's just my opinion. And Pookie, he should have had a hat trick.
You know what? In the first half, Cody kept stepping out.
Yeah, I
And I was
noticed
like,
that.
what is he doing? He's obviously not been instructed to do that. He was like trying to press the Norwich midfield and then like getting halfway and thinking, shit, I'm not going to make this. And he just leaves massive gaps. He shouldn't be. That should have been midfield pressing there. He shouldn't be coming out pressing, not as a sweeper. It could have been 4 or 5.
It wasn't even. It wasn't even like big presses. Like their player would be on the ball, and he just ran like.
Yeah.
You know that he'd have options, and then he'd break, and then you got a massive gap.
It was
At
ridiculous.
times, I could park my car in between the gaps between our defence.
I'm glad it wasn't just me who noticed that though, because like, it wasn't
I
even
noticed that.
discreet. He was just charging at players. It was ridiculous.
Yeah, it's. Do you think it's starting to show though now that we've got 3 players that sort of naturally aren't centre backs at the moment? I mean, you know, there's questions about it in that we'll talk about later. Since Willy Bolly's injury, I thought that this is going to be a nightmare until January now. We've coped pretty well. I mean, 1 loss or whatever in how long? So, I mean, we're getting by, but do you think at times it's showing? I mean, it's great that we've got 3 ball-playing defenders, but do you think at times, Tom, it is showing that, you know, these guys aren't natural centre-backs?
I like Dendoncker at centre back, and I like Sace at centre back,
But
and I like
go.
Willy Bolly as centre
okay,
back.
Oh, no.
That would be my first choice back 3 at the moment. I think that Sace and Dendoncker bring the ball out really well, and Bolly would provide a superb anchor for the other 2. And I think that's eventually what we will.
So who would you drop?
become. Well,
I think he's just alluded to, isn't he?
I don't know. So
I mean, I haven't slagged him off. I thought he played really well against Norwich.
who
Connor Cody, I thought he was superb.
did you?
It's opposite day, innit?
Did you actually?
No, of course I didn't. But
Oh, there we go. There it is.
Yeah.
do you reckon people play bingo to this?
Yeah.
Cody Bingo. Yeah.
It could have been 4 or 5 in the first half, but Pookie missed a handful of chances, which is why I don't think I'd want him at Wolves. I know you said go and get him in the summer, but his movement was brilliant. But I think what Dave said's a good point. Is it showing that we've got 3 midfielders at centre half? Because yesterday his movement, his off the ball movement's brilliant, and he gave him the run around. It was kind of like, oh, where's he gone? Oh, he's in behind, and I think Sace and Dendoncker were a little bit exposed against him, but it's natural. They've played more games at centre midfield, so
Yeah. Well, I mean, 3 points in the end, and I think I said, you know, a lot of, you know, a good team is still, you know, they'll still win when they're not at their best, and I think that's what Wolves were. We turned it up a little bit. Tom, you mentioned it earlier, the introduction of Pedro Neto as well.
I was just going to mention him because without him we don't win that game. Just Jota and Jimenez both look exhausted, and Jimenez didn't have the best of games yesterday, but scored the goal, so we can all thank him for being able to put him in our titles yesterday.
Sorry, I tweeted like,
Yeah, man, I love that. Tom, you were slagging him off, weren't you, before that on Twitter?
Well, he was playing poorly. He was
I mean,
doing
he
all
was-
these
I think-
stupid
don't you
flicks and
think,
stuff when the
Don't you think
simple
Jimenez
things.
has done that a lot this season, though? Like,
Yeah.
even early on, he was having poor performances, really, but he was always scoring. So, obviously, he picked up his performances a
I
little
thought
bit,
you
but-
meant, do you think he's pissing about too much? Because I do.
Yeah, I do as well.
He gave the ball away, didn't he, on that one? Really bad, where they shot and it just
Stupid
went over.
flicks
Like,
and
It's,
all
I
back to him.
tweeted saying get him off because he brought the ball down. He was doing stupid fucking flicks, and we were struggling to retain the ball anyway. And he wants to like flick it on, which is it's great when it works, but when you're already surrendering possession as it is, when he's doing that, it's not conducive to how the team's performing. And he brought the ball down lovely. It was a great touch, and then he dilly-dallied and then tried to flick it, and I was like, and he gave the ball away. I was like, just get him off because he's in the game for this. And then lo and behold, he scored. So thanks to me. You get all the Twitter fucking warriors in there, don't you? Like, shows how much you know. I was like, oh, wow. Man tweets something about player, and then he goes and scores. Oh, what do you... Fuck off.
I just think it's because he's just so tired. Because he's played so much. And
he's been so selfish.
We need to be rotating a little bit more and seeing Cutrone from the start and seeing Jimenez for the last half an hour and just mixing it up a little bit at the moment, particularly over the next couple of weeks when the fixtures are pretty close.
I know we mentioned Doherty playing really bad against Brighton, but I think you've got to credit Doherty for that second goal. He's run across the box to try and get to the original cross.
Oh, mate, he's attacking positioning. He's probably better than our forwards. He's always he's always in the right area, which is why I think his price tag, if we were to sell him, would be so high, and that's why he gets so many goals and assists. Not great at defending, but going forward, not beating players, but his position, he's always there. So I reckon we just convert him into a striker. Just be done with it.
Like Stephen
the
Ward
opposite of
in
Stephen
reverse.
Ward.
Yes,
yes, come on.
But I know Adama had that strapping on, and you could tell he
What? Yeah, what?
If Adama had a strap on, I'd be the first to know that you were. There's a reason why I call him Dad. But yeah, it's you could tell he wasn't fully at it with his running. Like, he wasn't running at full pace. I don't think he could power through with his shoulder, but he still just took the piss.
Yeah.
I've
seen he's unbelievable. I saw another clip this morning where he got the ball and just tiptoed around 4 players. It's just unbelievable at the moment.
I am worried about him though, and if he gets another clatter now with his shoulder already hanging off, if he was to get a really bad injury in the next couple of weeks, I think we'd struggle without him.
I just want to see him dribble past Van Dijk next week. That'd be New Year complete.
We'd be in trouble. We'd be in trouble if we lost him. Yeah. But the thing is, though, he gets the ball from deep and he runs past players, but his decision making is so much better compared to the end of last season.
I agree with that, but yesterday he wound me up a couple of times, only because obviously he scored that goal against Spurs and it was a cracking strike. But he kept doing it a lot yesterday. He kept cutting inside loads, and I'm thinking, like, look how the amount of our goals, not just this season, not just last season, like the last 2 years under Nuno, how many goals have come from us driving down the wings and low hard balls across and tapped in? Quite a big number. The last couple of games, I mean, this sounds like I'm slagging him off, but he just get on the byline and drill it in hard and low, because he keeps doing these loop balls as well, which are working, but he's cutting inside.
I agree, and like there was a few times where he got to like the defender on the edge of the 18. I'm like, just knock it past him and just have a go. But he's like trying to shoot for his legs. But I think that's because of the shoulder, because obviously he's gone from standing, he's got to power off. He don't know how much pain he's in. He would have had injections in the week. But I'd still fancy him to beat bloody Grant Hanley. I fancy myself against Grant Hanley. We've all seen him on you.
I keep seeing these people put bets on all the players that are playing on the side that Adama's playing. I think the last 3 games have been booked, the left backs and the left centre back. So I'm going to start putting like a tenner on a game on the left back to be booked.
Finn will probably put about 3 pence on.
Yeah.
High roller.
Probably would,
He's a donut, isn't he?
Which bet did he put on Besiktas? And he was like really wound up about it. We looked at him and he put like 10p on it. So like, Finn.
I just don't see the point in that. I'd feel dirty.
I said to him, just put like 1 bet on a week and put £1 on. So £4 on is not massively out your budget.
Even a £5 accumulator on the weekend, shit or bust. He's putting like 16p on, like 300 to 1 request a bet.
I think that's quite sensible from him. In the last 2.5 years, I've put a £5 on Wolves to win 4-1 every single game. We've done it once. We've done it once against Bolton, I think, at home.
Well, I looked at my Bet365 yesterday to see how much I'd made in the calendar year, and so far I'm down £1,000. So I don't think betting's quite for me.
That's why I do not bet.
Yeah. So perhaps Finn's got the right idea. I've had fun though, so that's what that matters.
But anyway, our sponsors, Fans Bet.
Yeah. They've been this off.
Yeah.
Oh, scenes.
But anyway, that's the end of the results and fixture round at Wolves now. Sat in 6th going into Christmas. Who would have thought that, lads? No one exactly.
Amazing.
Who would have thought it? Not me.
I predicted us to finish 4th, so I'm disappointed.
Yeah, disappointed. But the next couple of games, they are tough games. City at home and Liverpool away. hoping that Wolves obviously can get something out of those games. We'll quickly move on to the questions now. We had a few questions off a few people over on Twitter. The first one being, let's start off with Andy Hipkins.
Friend of the show.
Yeah, friend of the show. We alluded to this one earlier as well. When Willy Bolly's back, match fit and available, what is your first choice back three and why? Tom, you can start.
I've given you mine already, so it'd be Sace, Bolly in the middle, then Donker.
Bolly in the middle? Really?
Yeah, I think so, yeah.
Why?
Yeah. Or maybe Donker in the middle.
If you played those three, Donk, yeah. Matt?
I mean, ideally, I'd like to play the back three of Cody, just to one time. So if you can somehow clone him twice in the January window, that'd be fantastic. But for me, Bolly, Cody, and then Donker.
What? No Sace?
No Sace.
What do you think? He's more of a midfielder enforcer?
I just think Bolly's too good to leave out, and then Donker's probably been the pick of the three out of them, so it just makes sense. I don't think anyone can play the Cody role like he does. So,
Ryan Bennett is.
Mine's Bolly, right centre back, Cody in the middle, and Sace left centre back. I think that works really well. In the few games they've done that, I mean, I'm thinking back to Besiktas away, worked really well, and a few other games. So that's would be my choice.
Anyone who says Bolly's got to work his way back into the team obviously hasn't seen him play.
He's amazing.
Because he just. I mean, even in a cast, you'd kind of put him on the bench, wouldn't you? Because he's just colossal. He's so good, and
he covers a lot of Cody's mistakes. He has to be there to sweep up all the rubbish that Cody does.
Cody, but to be fair, Cody sweeps up a lot of all his mistakes as well. I'd say,
yeah, I think so.
What are you saying then about the future of Bennett and Vallejo?
Vallejo can go home in his carrier bag. I like Bennett. I want him to stay, but I know people don't like him, so I don't know.
Would you cash in January or wait until the summer?
Cash in, you know.
Well, we mentioned this, didn't we? Well, I think we did last podcast. With Bennett, something's happened, hasn't it? He's fell out with Nuno at some point, so
Everton away.
Let's see if he does stay.
Vallejo, I think he's a goner. But you've got players like, Kilman's even ahead of him now, and and when Bolly's back, you've got 6 centre backs. Then, like at the moment, you've got Kilman, Bennett, Bolly, you got Sace, Cody, then Donker. I think that's enough. And obviously you got a couple of the lads from the under 23s at the moment. A lot of people are calling for a new centre half to come in. If there is, Bennett could probably go, or maybe Kilman out on loan. But yeah, I think if I had to pick a back three with Bolly, I'd still have Cody in there, but I'd be undecided on Sace or Dendoncker. I think Dendoncker's a bit more comfortable. I'm not even going to say on the ball because they're both pretty comfortable on the ball, but I just think Dendoncker at times, I'm looking at that side of the pitch and a lot of the mistakes are coming from there.
Dave, don't you like the fact that Sace is left-footed to be on the left side and then Bolly on the
exactly.
right?
I think I like that as well.
The problem is with Sace, he'll have 5 good games and then the 6th one is absolutely dreadful. He's always got like one game where he's just everything he does wrong.
Well, I think that's with Donk. Which game was it? Sheffield United. He was dreadful.
He was so bad.
And
he kept turning as well, didn't he? And like on his own areas, like trying to lose his man. Like to please just fuck it off for a throw. Because if you give this away here, we're in big trouble. But I think Dendonker's been the most impressive out of that 3. Then and Sace is just a walking yellow card. I've never seen so many. Like it's just a
that's
dead
the one for
cert.
the yellow card accumulator, isn't it? The left back of our opposition and then remains safe.
Well, I had that for West Ham. I had Cresswell and Sace didn't get booked. Fuming. The odds were great as well, but I didn't put 18p on it, so. Looking at you, Phil.
Good question, Andy. Thank you. Sorry, was someone going to say something?
No, they were just laughing at me.
We'll move on. Right. This one is an interesting one. You might have to think about this one though. Brad Bagnall says favourite game of the decade and worst game of the decade. I mean, early shout for worst is Watford in the FA Cup.
Yeah.
In terms of day itself and game itself, that's probably an early shout.
My favourite game is the quarter-final against Man United.
Yeah, man. It's one of them,
Unreal.
It's got to be.
So I was going to say, I was trying to avoid saying that because it's too mainstream.
So hipster now, Tom. So hipster.
So I was thinking of Wolves 6, Rotherham 4.
Oh, what a
absolute
shout.
scenes.
Yeah. Kieran Agard and Nuadiko hat tricks.
Yeah.
You know what? For me,
Ricketts.
Sorry, carry on. Sorry, Matt.
no, it's all right, mate. Go ahead. Go on.
Was the 5-1 lost to Albion this decade?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think that's
You're just
the-
not sure what a decade is still, do you?
Yeah.
He's not quite grasped
That's
what a
2009,
decade
yeah.
is.
Yeah.
2012, yeah.
That's the worst one for me. Best what? I don't know. Like Man City away was just amazing. There was something about that I really loved. But I think the cliche one is Man United in the quarter final.
Just the atmosphere of that
Yeah,
game.
the atmosphere was really good. But I don't know. I think for me, it probably would be Man City away this season just because of the way we performed. And
That game out of the whole of the last 10 years, you'd pick that as your game of the day.
from what I can remember, yeah, 10 years.
This-
which
What about
is-
Spurs
yeah.
away, Matt? Spurs away.
Nah,
in Wembley?
and like Cardiff. Cardiff I didn't go to, Cardiff away, so
Yeah,
that probably would have been up
Cardiff
there.
Oh, mate, what a shout. I forgot about
Yeah,
that.
but
It's so funny how you can split this decade into two halves quite easily,
Yeah.
pre and post Nuno. Because I mean, I was just trying to think of some League One ones like the Port Vale away,
Yeah, that was
The
beginning of the season.
That's away day, that was.
Walsall
Brentford
away,
away, 3-0.
MK Dons
Brentford
Brentford
away.
away was a great
yeah,
love
look,
Brentford away, man.
MK Don's taking 8.8k to MK, like the whole.
Yeah,
Like Milton Keynes was just a sea of gold. That was great. I even enjoyed Huddersfield away and we beat them 4. Was it 4-0 or 4-1
yeah.
like the Tuesday night?
4-1. Yeah,
It
that was
was-
a great game, that was.
I remember getting to the ground like 3 hours early because I lived up north and I was like, well, what do we do? And there's not many pubs by the ground, so I ended up going on a fucking driving range by the ground for an hour and a half, just whacking golf balls. And like, it's like you can't get any worse than this. And then it was a Dicophobia masterclass.
I love Brentford away. One, because it was a huge game at the time in League One because they were right up there with us. Two, I just love their stadium. It took you back. It was like a throwback, wasn't it?
It's
like a
The
pub on
terrace.
every
That was the
corner,
terrace,
stood
isn't it?
up in the away end. It was amazing that.
Yeah, that was a class. That was a really good performance as well. That Michael Jacobs goal as well. That's up there
class.
for goal.
Bristol
I know
City
it's
away.
one of these. Ryan
Shout,
Bennett.
yeah, Bennett last minute.
Oh, or are you on about Wolves 4, Bristol City 1 back in
No,
Sol
God,
back
no,
in
no,
the
that
days?
That's when I thought, you know what, we're going to turn the corner here, and we got
Fun
thumped
fact.
the week
In
after.
fact, I had £5 on that day. I had 5-1 on Wolves to win, as I mentioned
Oh,
earlier.
the only day you don't
Yeah.
put 4-1 on.
I had 5 on 4-1, and we were crap at the time, weren't we?
Rubbish.
We were struggling at the time.
Ebanks
Massive
Blake
odds.
masterclass, mate. What? It was a front four of Sacco, Doyle, Ebanks Blake, and Siggy.
Sigurd, yeah.
Jeez, unbelievable.
We'll have a bad word said about Siggy, will we, Dave?
No, we will not.
Former neighbour of the Hazard clan.
That's it, mate. I mean, we've speculated enough, so there's some games for you, Brad. Liam Bagnall says, would you take Todd Cantwell at Wolves in January?
I would, yeah.
He's a great player.
James Maddison regen.
Looks like Griezmann.
He caused us all sort of problems, didn't he? He's good in the pocket.
He's
and
been
number
great.
10
He's been
role.
great this season.
Good in the
Yeah,
pocket.
this
really
season.
good player.
Well, it depends how much they wanted for him. If it was, yeah, lads, you can have Todd Cantwell, I'd be like, yeah, fantastic, good player, but they're going to want loads of money for him, aren't they?
He's better than Gibbs White, isn't he?
Yeah, I was just going to say I'll swap him for Gibbs White.
Oh, here we go again.
If he gave me the option, if Danny Olmo was like £10 million cheaper, which he probably is going to be, I'll go and get him instead. But
Yeah.
it's Cantwell. He's English, you know. He's English, yeah. Not Welsh or something. Yeah. Don't want any more of them in the team, do we, Rouse?
Good at maths as well. He
We haven't
counts
got any.
well.
Wow, have you just heard
You've
that?
got Owen Hesketh in the under 23.
Have you just heard that joke then?
What did he say?
He said he's good at maths,
Sorry,
he
sorry.
counts well.
Sorry, carry on.
So we need
Edit
them
that
sound
out.
effects again, don't we? We need.
What does that mean?
He's got a great.
Okay.
He counts well.
Oh.
Yeah, I mean,
fucking
it's
hell.
Cantwell, Harrow, not.
Last time
Yeah.
we're inviting you.
Fucking
Oh,
hell.
this is Harry, so we can. It gives him an exception. You know that Todd Cantwell, great player, isn't he? Come on.
Sorry.
Oh dear.
Anyway, let's move on
Fucking
before it gets out of hand even more than it is already. Sai, he says, I mean, this is another tough question. Best year in the last 30 years for a Wolves fan? I mean, none of us are even 30 yet, I'd hope.
Right.
For a whole
Isn't it?
year? No.
Robert, is he?
Cheers, I'm same age as Harry, mate.
Yeah. I'll probably go last season's up there, isn't it?
I might
say this season.
Yeah, this year. Talking of calendar years, this season can't be beaten. I mean, we've lost
best year 2019.
Three times at home this year. 4 times at home.
I was going to do. I found that Nuno's stats out of like all his games, like obviously home and away, and his home record is like just phenomenal, man.
Yeah,
it's like ridiculous.
Which is weird because last season we were like quite shit at home. We're good away.
We didn't lose often though, did we? Particularly in the second half of the season.
It was boring to watch at home, weren't we? Because it was just we couldn't break teams down. Which is
like what's happening now is like it's like a fairy tale, really, isn't it? When you think back to the dark days of the early, like 2012 and onwards.
Yeah,
I just never thought this would happen. Like, it's just crazy. If someone would have told me back then this was happening, I know everyone says it, but
oh god,
it is so crazy. Like, I just can't believe we're in the Europa League. We're literally on the brink of top 4 now. I mean, it is crazy.
Is it crazy, Harry?
It's crazy.
I'd say crazy more, bro. It definitely is. I think Tom Rouse is frozen.
So do I.
That's good. We'll just carry on anyway.
We'll carry on going. He had his hand up. He wanted to say something.
Yes, Tom.
He's gone. There we go. Right. There he is. He's back. Tom, what were you going to say?
I was just going to say something. I've just spent all day today putting together a 40-minute montage of lots of different clips from the decade and news clips and stuff. And it is hilarious to watch how many times the managers come in and say, yeah, we're going to get Wolves back to where they are in the past. And then the next bit's a news clip to say, Wolves have just sacked Dean Saunders. And then Nuno comes in and he doesn't promise that. He just says, look, we're just going to work hard and we're just going to see what happens. And then we're having our best spell ever. So
how many views do you reckon you'll get on that?
Check out that on the channel. I reckon I'll get at least 10.
Just sat there.
It's 40 minutes long.
No, you'll have to. I do like stuff like that, to be fair, because you kind of, when you're in the moment, you don't realise until you look back and see like the newspaper clippings and like what fans think at the time. I'd imagine when we brought Wolves in, it'd be like, oh yeah, we're going to go up. We got loads of money, and in reality, it was.
I found the clip of him saying that we're massive in Italy as well, so
I love
check
his passion.
out.
I love Zenga's passion. Remember Blues away and we won there?
Yeah.
The local press had his pants down.
That was Dickie Dodd's game of the season, that was. That was Dickie Dodd's game of the season.
No, that was Birmingham at home, weren't it, now?
Oh, sorry.
Yeah.
I knew it was one of them.
Fucking Dickie Dodd, man. Yeah, but...
glory days of the podcast.
The local press had his pants down in the press conference. They're like, do you know who Steve Bully is? And he's like, what? Like, what do you know about Wolves? Do you know who Steve Bully is? He's like, well, no, of course I fucking don't. some fella from Tipton. So
what are you saying, that we should have kept hold of Zenga?
No, I'm not saying that. I just think the press hung him out to dry because they knew he wouldn't know all these questions. They tried to make him look a twat.
He was
I wanted to keep Paul Lambert. I did. I mean, how wrong was
There's so many people.
I love that video. I'm going to get that video back up, Harry. If I ever want to laugh, like I'm having a down day, I'm going to get that video of you going mad at Fosun for sacking Paul Lambert.
Is it still online?
I reacted to it. I never released it. I never released it, and then I found it on my laptop. I thought, I've got to react to this. I'm telling Fosun to get rid of Jeff Shee and to get rid of George Mendes. And I'm like, you've got to give Paul Lambert a chance and all that.
Christ. Who's this clown we got on here today? Paul Lambert, man. He couldn't get a tune out of bloody Sace Costa.
It was that FA Cup run. It sugar-coated my thoughts about him.
Remember when he didn't want to play Sace because he was going to the African Cup of Nations like 2 months after? He wanted like a bit of momentum. Was like,
what Sace said about him, he said, I don't mind running as a footballer, but when Paul Lambert's telling you to run for no reason, that's when I don't like running. Yeah. Which is typical Lambert mentality, isn't it? You'd rather have 11 grafters than someone with a bit of technical ability, which is why we were playing people like fucking Bod Varson.
He got the best out of Costa, though, didn't he?
Yeah, he did, yeah.
He did, to be fair to him. Yeah, but the thing was, anyone that played on the wing in a Paul Lambert team did well. So even Ben Marshall did quite well as well.
Christ, I mean, even
who was the lad who scored the goal against Liverpool? The second one,
Weimann as well. Yeah,
Andy Weimann.
I actually wanted us to sign him on a permanent deal.
He was actually decent, but he couldn't even get a tune out of Cav either.
He could never play well when Costa was playing because it was either or he could only play well when Costa was playing. I can't remember what it was. Do you reckon we'd have got promoted if Lambert had stayed in charge?
No way.
Not even through the playoffs with a load of money, signing all Championship.
No, because if we still had Lambert, we wouldn't have been out. We wouldn't have signed Neves or anyone like that.
Yeah, exactly. We'd have signed absolute just British players, wouldn't we? It'd have got just average British players.
But we'd have had the Sheffield United team now.
Yeah. Oh.
No.
I don't even want to think about it. Anyway, next question, Robbie Ayit. It is you can sign only one player in January. Who would it be? Tom Rouse.
Lionel Messi.
Yeah, it's got to be, innit?
Realistically.
Yeah, go on, realistic. Oh, sorry, he didn't say that. Yeah, we go realistic.
Prime Pella.
See, I don't know if this is realistic, but I think it's within a certain parameters.
Go on.
Jamie Vardy.
You've been playing career mode against him.
Fucking hell. I've heard some shouts in my time. What would he swap second place, Leicester?
Go on.
Because we'd offer him £1 bajillion.
How many zeros
on,
is that?
Are you signing?
It's going to sound quite cliche, but we've been linked with him. But I think we need cover in the wide areas, so get Hwang in.
Hwang Ki-chan?
Yeah, from Salzburg, because A, he's very marketable, and B, from what I've seen of him in the Champions League this season, he is actually a very good player. And I think we need cover in the wide areas. We really do.
They're unlikely, no. Since they've let Minamino go, they're not going to let him go as well, surely.
Well,
Haaland's going to go as well, mate.
Haaland's going as well, so it wouldn't surprise me, mate.
Wolves have been linked, but if we signed him in Jan, he'd be loaned back until the end of the year, they reckon.
So there's two I'd want to sign. I know you only said one, but I'm going to go for two. I mean, I'm really bad with this sort of stuff. I have to watch your channel, Dave, to get the lowdown on these foreign players, so I don't know anyone is. But Ruben Dias is like the obvious one to say, but I know he signed that new contract, didn't he? And also, Wilfried Zaha, imagine getting him. But Traore and Zaha on each wing.
You know what? He nearly signed for Everton, and at the minute we're miles ahead of Everton. And they are a bigger club than us, but they're on the descent.
You know what I'd sign? Go on, Tom. Actually,
I was saying Nathan Ake in the summer, and now he's been linked with City and Chelsea.
He's got a £45 million release clause, hasn't he?
I'd pay.
I'm going to throw a name out there for you, Dave.
Roberto Martinez.
Every pod with that fail.
I am going to actually throw a name out. Timu Puki. I'm joking.
Puki? Yeah. Is that the one who plays for Norwich?
Temu Puki.
Christ,
with the decade coming to an mate, top 5 players and top 5 flops. I mean, we sort of went through that in the last episode, didn't we, with our teams? What do you honestly see happening in the next decade for Wolves, Tom?
Win the Premier League.
Oh wow, Matt.
Winning an FA Cup.
Harry, go on.
Well,
give me the Carabao Cup, son. Go on.
You go back to the beginning of this decade. Would you have thought what would have happened? 2 relegations coming back up, Europa League. So it's hard to predict, but I think we'll at least get in the Champions League. I know that's a bit of a cop out because we look like we could do that this season, and I think we'll become title challengers in the next decade.
Jeez, I mean it's part of Fosun's plan, isn't it? Like they want to be title challengers by what in the next 5 years? Is it
next year?
Huh?
What? Let me have a quick look if we've got any other questions. I think that is all. So, guys, thanks a lot for chatting today. Everyone listening, obviously, hopefully you have a great Christmas. Before we finish off, though, Matt, where can people find you?
M. Cooper Wrights on Twitter and Instagram. I just want to say thanks to everyone who's either come on the pod or listened to the pod or Talking Wolves over the past year. We appreciate your support, and hope you have a great Christmas. If we don't see you before then, which is probably likely because Dave's going around the Med on a lovely cruise, bless him. Have a great New Year, and we'll see you all again right back at it in 2020.
Oi. Tom?
The Old Gold and Black on YouTube or the Old Gold 1877 on Twitter. And look out for that great 40-minute video about the last
Yeah, Harry, where can people find you, mate?
It's just Harry Mansell on YouTube, at Harry_Mansell on Instagram and Twitter. And
underline.
I would shout. I'll do another podcast.
It's an underscore.
I had to shout that out, innit?
No, go ahead, mate.
You've all been on it, so the Wolf 77 Club too.
Yeah.
Of course, mate.
What, is the Rouse and Roach still a thing, Tom?
Yeah.
Oh, then never mind. No, I'm joking. I'm not.
Do you want to talk about your Adama Traore photo, Harry?
No, because I'll probably get fined.
Yeah. Yeah.
You sure?
Never mind.
This is the platform to
Copyright.
explain what happened.
Nah, we'll.
Prefer not to speak.
The comments are going to be like, what happened?
What happened? It's going to be like a fishing trip off Gavin and Stacey.
Yeah.
No one's ever going to miss. Yeah. Anyway, guys, thanks a lot for listening. As I say, have a great Christmas and a happy New Year. And hopefully, the podcast will continue in 2020. If you're listening on iTunes or whatever, or YouTube, be sure to hit the like button, leave us a rating, subscribe. And until next time, we'll see you all. Or, we will see you all very, very soon.
It's just crumbled, hasn't it?
Yeah,